Yeah, hi, this is Greg from Uber Freight here in Louisville at the Mid-America Truck Show on a kind of rainy morning. Joining me this morning is Trucker Brown, and we're going to have a conversation about technology and trucking. So I think maybe a way to start is we'll go back a little bit and see how the, changes maybe in the last 20 years in technology.
Well, I wouldn't be able to give you a direct on 20 years.
20 years? No.
Because I was like 12, 20 years ago.
Okay.
But,
young man, old man, okay.
My father has been driving for 27 years.
Okay.
And he feels it's an obligation to explain to me how much easier it is now. So he tells me every time I say I'm doing something, he'll be like, well, back then all we had was maps and it was no GPSs. I also was no call comms as prevalent, and he had no phone. He had to stop at a payphone. So that was
pocket of quarters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been to older truck stops where there's just rows of payphones. Mm-hmm. And I always was like, why are there so many payphones here? But then he used to tell me, it used to be lines by those payphones. So I'm fairly happy that I didn't have to deal with that.
Yeah, it's a different day, that's for sure.
Completely.
Yeah. So you were talking about like Qualcomms and stuff like that?
Yeah.
So nowadays, in the last 4 or 5 years, what have you seen?
I remember the first Qualcomm I ever seen was this big. Mm-hmm. Now the Qualcomm I have in my truck is like a tablet. It's like one of these. It's just maybe about that much bigger. It's super light. The one before was it had a LCD screen where all it did, like a calculator, the little words would come up and you have to click through and look at it. Now it's just like your phone. It's color. Some of them have games on them.
They got touch screens and all?
Yeah, all of it's touch screen, no buttons. There's actually, they have GPS apps in it. So some of the companies the guys go to, they don't have to buy GPS because it's already in the Qualcomm. So when the load comes through, it zaps it into your GPS, and you're out. You're on your way. Yeah. So that's pretty great.
So it makes life easier and more efficient.
It does.
Yeah,
it does. And I like to be efficient.
Yeah, I remember back in the day for me it was always getting lost. The paper map, because I have this great anxiety driving into some place that I'm not going to get out of. Right?
Do you still use the paper map, Greg?
I still do. Yes.
Christ, man. I don't understand the whole paper map thing.
Yeah, well,
My dad says you need it, but it's like, didn't Google already do that?
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, so it's one of those situations. I don't even have a map on my truck.
Really? Okay.
Because if you think about it, every device is a map.
That's true, yeah.
And I have 2 phones, 2 tablets, a laptop, so it's like, why do I need a paper map?
So you do a lot of videos, or YouTube videos and stuff, right?
I think I got about 1,600 done.
So you've been doing that for the last...
consistently 3 years.
And you seen any big changes there?
Yeah, well, live wasn't a thing when I started.
Live, okay.
Live video, like that came maybe 2 years after I started dropping videos. And then the adpocalypse thing happened. That changed.
What's the what?
Adpocalypse.
What is that?
Well, it's what YouTube... People did some inappropriate things, and they had put ads next to it. So now you have to be like, you can't cuss and stuff like that. So that changed as well. Also, the phones having the whole LTE, 4K, and LTE and stuff like that, you can upload faster. When I first started, it took a couple of hours to upload.
So what you're saying, the underlying network that the phones run on? Because, back in the day, it used to be a cable or a wire that actually went from one phone to the other. A wire.
Wow.
Right? Yeah, and so now when you go, digital, then it can take that message and break it down and send a whole bunch of them over the same fiber optic line, so you get more and more bandwidth.
Okay.
Right? So more and more information can go down that channel.
Well, how big were phones when you were a kid, Greg?
They were, it's like on the wall, cranking it up. No, not quite. No, but I remember the biggest technological innovation when I was in high school was that I could get a long cord for my phone. So when I wanted to call a girl up and I was really, really anxious about it, and I'd sit there for, dial, but no, can't do it.
You were dialing like this?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. I seen one of those at my grandma's house once.
Yeah.
I seen one of those.
But I had this cord that was long enough I could sneak into my room and close the door so my brother couldn't hear me when I was trying to ask a girl out.
Christ.
So, it's a different day now where we've got, and that was one wire going from one place to the other. Now we've got
phones.
Yeah, and we've got these big pipes. We've got it going over the air, right? It's you can.
It's amazing. My son has an iPhone 6, so he can FaceTime me anywhere.
Right.
He doesn't really know how to use it, but he knows how to call me. He just hasn't figured out that you're not supposed to look at it like this. Like once he gets that in his, he'll be able to do it. 10.
Okay.
He's 10 years old, and I got him a phone. I told him this way you can no matter where I'm at in the country. He's also logged into the iPhones keep track of each other.
Right. Okay.
So he can see me driving all over the country. He doesn't have to ask.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That is different. Because my father was driving out of
And see,
town.
that's the thing. These technologies come along, and sometimes you don't even notice how they're changing your life. And it's because it's kind of like it's kind of like being at the beach, right? You can see the wave coming, and it might knock you down, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of times the more dangerous thing is the tide rising.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? When the tide comes in, it's like, So
I'm not a big swimmer, but I watch movies. I assume that it's a terrible thing, but I do know that. Not even remembering, like right now, when I was in high school, I may have had 10 numbers in my head. And right now, I couldn't tell you no one's number. I can tell you your number.
Yeah, exactly. I'm getting bad with people's names now.
Yeah. So, if I lose this phone, Greg's gone. Like, I don't know how to get in contact with you. That's how it works.
Exactly.
But that's something that you notice that change. But as far as if you were to package it into trucking, now the people are used to calling you. That's something they couldn't do before.
Right.
The tracking is better, stuff like that. And you also have traffic, a lot of traffic updates. So if you're looking at your GPS, it knows that traffic's about to happen.
Right.
And there's apps that can reroute you around it. So that helps with the efficiency as well.
Yeah. So that's kind of an interesting thing is that, so in trucking now, I was just thinking that for a while there, it seemed like, one of the big complaints that we hear is the broker or the dispatcher calling the driver all the time, right? Do you think that that's getting less and less now that we have better apps and stuff like that?
Well, it eventually is going to get less and less because, the information, the point of the call is to gather information.
Right.
So if the app is providing that information, there's no point for the call.
Right, exactly.
So it'll be more like, you know what you need to do, it's done.
It's like you were saying, your son knows where you are, right? Because he got that. So the same thing with
see me driving down the street. So if you have all the information you need, and let's say the app says that you're in proximity, you've arrived.
Right.
They don't need to call and be like, "Are you there?" Did you not go? They don't have to do that.
Right.
And I'm assuming, because I don't know, I've never used it. I'm assuming that when you drop the load, you hit a button, you're done.
Right. So you've never seen our app, right?
No.
Let's have a look at it, man.
Okay.
This is like an opportunity. Okay, let me see if I can get this thing up here. Okay, there's that button there. Okay, there it is. So right now I've got it set for, come on, got a message there, get away. For current location, which would be here in Louisville. So it's got, basically it's got a set of cards here that lists each one of the jobs or loads. Wow. And it's got the price,
And all this is around us.
That's all around here. And then if you tap on one of the cards, oh, my phone is acting up. Okay. It gives you a map of the, pickup and destination. What has it got on it? The price, the stuff. And then
it says the deadhead, the distance.
Deadhead, and you scroll up and it gives you all the details of the load.
Commodity.
Yeah, all the stuff that you make 3 or 4 phone calls to.
Yeah.
Right. All that data is just, and it's coming, and like I said, instead of coming over a wire or over a,
now
it's coming right over the air.
This is probably as far as the money for the week, this is the most important thing you're showing me right here. The 10 reload availability.
Right.
Now, this is based on where the drop is.
The drop is, what's near the drop.
Now, can I pre-book these?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it won't, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But if I just made, this says $1,400.
Someone might call you and ask you why you're booking it if it looks like it's too close.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the thing. there are people behind this.
All
It's
right.
not like there's Skynet sitting there, running the
He's
show.
there
No.
now.
There's a whole crew of ops people in Chicago that
Making sure everything goes
make
right.
sure everything goes right, because they've also got to talk with the shippers and the receivers and all that, right?
So let's say I've been out for 4 weeks. How do I request home time with this?
Someplace on here that
I just pick the place.
There's a take me
search
home
it?
button someplace, but I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
I have to find it. Now I'm going to get in trouble for saying that.
Know your app, Greg.
Yeah, really.
No, I mean,
the thing is, you have to be in it all the time because they're working on it all the time, and it's getting better and better all the time, right?
Well,
and,
I'm pretty sure you can just type in your city and go home. Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
you can. Yeah, in fact, right there, if you look on the search, just go back to here. Where did that search thing go? Back. You can go drop off and choose what city you want to go to, right?
And then it'll show you everything going there.
Yeah, going that way, and so on the end point. And then also here it's got like local, short, and long haul. So basically, local would be local, and then you got short line. I think it's 300 miles.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and then you got OTR.
Then you can just go.
Yeah.
So if I only wanted to go from Cali and back, I could just only do that.
Right.
Just back and forth, back and
Yeah.
forth, back and forth. That is, some stuff you have to just be willing to admit that it's convenient.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go back in the day, I remember my grandma hating microwaves. Like she just felt that's not real cooking. But at the end of the day, who doesn't use a microwave now?
Right. Exactly.
So that aspect of the game, you can't just sit here and be prideful and say that wouldn't be awesome.
Yeah. And once again, this gets to how the underlying technologies that society is building out make it so that over your phone, over the cellular system, all that information can end up on your phone.
Yeah.
And this is when I first started playing around with computers, this is way more powerful than the first desktop computer I had by far.
Yeah, they said the iPhone has more computing power than the Apollo 13 mission.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So. And and it's not going to stop. There's talk about building the 5G network, which is the next big network, and that will the 5G network is going to allow more of the Internet of Things, which is connectivity. Where like for instance, in your truck, if you have an app like this, it will know your truck also. Like a lot of the new trucks now can ET phone home to the manufacturer.
Yes, I had an interview with the new Mac Anthem.
Oh yeah.
And it so let's say if you were a check engine light comes on, it's talking to the dealership.
Right.
And as you're driving, it's checking it, and by the time you get there, it'll know what's wrong with itself.
Yeah.
And they'll just fix it, and you're gone.
Yeah. Call you and say, hey, it's time to stop by for 15 minutes.
Absolutely. And by the time you get there, it schedules the time to make sure you're not waiting.
Right.
When you get there, it's just straight through and fixed. So stuff like that, you can't deny that it's not convenient. Because everybody's sat at a shop before. So
right. Exactly.
That's just awesome.
So okay. I think that one of the areas that technology can really help out a truck driver is when you're is detention. Or at shippers and receivers and being able to get in and out.
Yes.
What do you?
What could we do to stop this? Slow that.
That gets into a whole other issue, doesn't it? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that the shippers would have to have the appropriate amount of employees to handle it, and that's a hard one because you can sit at I'm not going to say the employee's name, but you can sit at a shipper or a receiver for 36 hours. I've done it. So some stuff is just crazy. I think they would just need to better organize. I don't know, or maybe have some type of a scan system where you come in, you scan, and they already knows where you need to go.
Right. Well, you figure the information, if it could be passed along, from one computer to the next, so that when you arrive, it shows up on their screen or something.
Well, that would need you would need communication between the person who's transporting, the person who's shipping it, and the person who's receiving it. So, I think that will work.
Yeah.
If they would do it. And I think truckers would love to not sit at a place for, I want to say the place so much, but I'm not going to say it. But they would love to sit at a place for not 24 hours.
Right,
That's
right.
just ridiculous. So I think it would help in that sense. That would be great because every time you're losing, you could have ran a load. If I sit at a place for 24 hours,
Yeah.
that's technically 600 miles. Depending on how you get paid, that's between $200 to $1,300.
Right.
That you missed.
Yes, and I've done different calculations, and I think it costs at least $50 to $75 for a truck per hour.
Yeah, they're not going to
if you were to calculate the mileage.
Yeah, and all
that's just a truck.
The industry standard is only going to give you, for a 24-hour sit, they're only going to give you $150.
Right.
Unless you're an owner-op and you can kind of finagle what you're going to get.
Right.
But then the brokers may not give it to you, but that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But it depends on your deal.
Right.
But if you're working at a company like the average trucker is, you're going to sit there and they're going to give you like $100 for sitting for 24 hours.
So this is a place where technology
Yeah.
and communication, which all are getting better and better, it's...
Yeah, because you could have like a ticker on there that says you're about to get detention in
exactly
2 minutes.
exactly.
And then it counts it up, and once it's done, sends it to them.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
And so then maybe, there's a lot of talk about shortage in drivers. Maybe if we could get the trucks moving a little bit more.
Well, I mean, I don't really know exactly if there's always a shortage because most people, let's be honest, most people don't want to do OTR.
Right.
That's just the fact. The average person will come into a mega carrier, we'll say. I'm being conscious of not saying people's names. An average person will come into a mega carrier. They'll get their license. They'll train. They'll drive for about maybe 6 months, and then they'll quit.
Right.
And they'll go find a local job.
Right.
Because, everybody doesn't want to be OTR.
Difficult.
Exactly. So
difficult lifestyle. Some people really, really thrive under it.
I'm awesome at it. I'm not gonna lie
some
to you.
people thrive.
It's my thing, but most people don't like it. They want to, and nothing wrong. It's no fault to them. They want to go home.
Right. No.
And whatever people do at home, they want to go do that. But no one's going to admit that if there was something there that could eliminate is a very packed word. If something there that can help out with the shortage, that it would be bad. Because no one wants to be OTR
right.
for the most part. I say the percentage of truckers, maybe 25% of truckers like OTR.
Right, yeah.
Most people don't want to do it.
Right.
And if they do, they only want to go to the place they want to go.
Right, exactly.
I only go to Tennessee and Georgia. That's all they want to go. They don't want to go nowhere else. So it does make sense. It makes sense at the end of the day if you think about it. But, it depends on if people are going to admit that technology is going to help. But most people are not going to admit that.
So, man, having a bit of brain fade there, trying to figure what
to drink water in the morning.
Exactly. I'm dehydrated.
Bran muffin, oatmeal. I had Reese's, but I'm telling you.
Senior moment, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when we, so we have this network that's building out, giving us more and more capabilities, right? What kind of things do you start seeing in the future?
Well, longer wait time. Not longer. Shorter wait time. I feel like it'll be awesome if something could plan a week in the beginning of the week and have most of your week planned.
Yeah.
So
if you knew how long it was going to take you to load and unload,
exactly,
then you could put the next load together and you could string it all together.
And you could have work for the whole week. The only thing that will be stopping you is the X factor, which is the tire pop and stuff like that. But that would be nice because right now you're always dealing with the unknown because you don't know what's going to happen when you get to where you're going.
Right.
You may get somewhere and it just takes all day, or it may just be like in and out, so you can't plan it. So you're planning on the fly. So if there was a way to plan 2 or 3 loads in advance, you could maximize the working time that you had to make the most money. Because if you actually break down how much let's say an owner-op gets paid, and if he knew that he was only going to be at a place an hour to drop off,
right,
you would never make less than $3,000 to $5,000 take home a week if you knew that. But you don't know.
Right.
So that's what would be awesome if that helped. That would be great.
Yeah. So as we build up I think that's one of the major goals of Uber Freight is we're building this network that, coordinating between the shipper, the carrier, and the receiver to make sure that the whole process is
Works
efficient.
smoothly, yeah.
So we have all these points of inefficiency along the way. We need to find ways to,
I think you already have the technology to do it. You would just have to get the people to participate.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not. I mean, if there's many other examples of people who work well in a network. If I can go anywhere, like the phones.
Right.
A lot of phones rent towers, no matter where you go.
Right.
They're working in unison.
Right.
So it should be fairly easy for y'all to do it. Now, I'm not in the boardroom, so I don't know how the talks go like. But I'm just saying that.
Me neither.
In theory, it should work very easily. But I don't know.
Yeah. So, looking to the far future, if we were to go way, way out there.
How far are we going, Greg?
I don't know.
Like when the aliens get here?
Yeah, let's go 100 years into the future.
I think
100 years
Mars
into the future.
Years.
What do you see?
Oh,
Skynet?
Oh, that's been here, okay? I believe well, it depends. Okay, now you asked me to do this, so I want to.
Yeah, exactly.
I watch a lot of Star Trek, right?
Okay, yeah.
So it's going there. So, I believe in the future that people probably will be more focused on art. They'll be more focused on stuff like art or whatever fulfills them if we get to a point where there is no need for actual work.
So you believe like in a Roddenberry future?
Yeah, I don't know who Roddenberry is, but
creator of Star Trek. Gene Roddenberry.
Okay, cool. He's cool, yeah. So basically pretty much like that. So when they run into somebody else and they say, well, we don't really use money.
Right.
We stopped doing that 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
It's going to eventually get there because the system that we are creating will be too efficient to pay on the same way.
Right.
So after a while, it's like if food just appears, what do you really need McDonald's for? You know what I mean? So eventually, people are going to have to find other ways to be creative and, well, what's the word? Not be creative. Keep busy.
Yeah.
So that's what it'll end up turning into.
I think human beings are naturally creative.
True.
For instance, if you go back 1,000 years ago, everybody was creating by farming.
Yeah. Right?
They would spend all their time, working the earth to make food for themselves. Well, that's a creative endeavor. And so if we don't have creative endeavors to fulfill ourselves, that's just like being a truck driver in a lot of ways. Working, you have this creative endeavor, this role that you have that you fulfill by, going out every day and doing something. And you have a really powerful purpose.
Exactly.
You're serving the country. Everything, it's a cliche. It's something that's said all the time. But everything in this room, everything around us came on a truck.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
Except for the air. Not yet, but it will happen. But I do believe that it's like most people search for happiness, okay? And this is going to go left a little bit. It's not going to go too crazy, so don't worry about it. But most people believe in happiness. Happiness is a packaged thing. That's not real. Complacency is what most people end up getting, which is a cousin to peace. Now,
right.
If you were the thing that aids happiness, if you want to package it that way, is accomplishment.
Right.
Most people want immediate happiness. So they do whatever they do to get that.
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification, which leads to addiction and all that other stuff. So accomplishment. So whatever the accomplishment is in your mind, it will give you the feeling of fulfillment.
Right.
And that's what people need to do. I'm scared that if people don't feel that, that's when it goes awry. So as long as we educate people and saying, you know what, maybe back then slaving for 50 years was needed. Now the schools will be based on art, music, stuff like that gives you the same fulfillment because there really is a need for a monetary system at that point. But that's hundreds of years in the future, maybe. I don't know. That's how I look at it.
It'd be nice if it was sooner.
It would.
Yeah.
It would. Because I would I don't know what I would do. I would probably grow. If I had a choice, and this is going to be way off of my image here. If I had a choice, I would probably just live in a yurt. You know what a yurt is?
Oh, yeah.
And I would just grow organic everything. And that's all I would do.
Yeah?
That's it. I also would just wear a robe. That's it, and I would never wear clothes are a social construct. But I
Trucker
would
Brown's
do that.
truck farm.
Hey, you know, and that's what I would do if I had a choice. If I didn't have to make money, I would probably just do that. You know, you would live longer too.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
That's my thing. We went left for a minute there. That was a conversation, but that's hundreds of years. In
But
the future.
it does bring up a thing is that if we are creative people, and part of what we do every day, we have this purpose, and this is talk about trucking. Here I am. I'm a truck driver. I'm given this load, and I drive it down the road, and I get it to the destination.
Yeah.
It's clear cut where success lies.
Yeah, being on time.
Being on time, getting it there. And it's also but then if you get to a place where you start hitting inefficiencies, then all of a sudden everything you did starts getting pushed away as
frustration builds.
Yeah,
stress, which is the killer.
Yeah.
This is true. It'll be almost impossible to eliminate the world of setbacks.
Right, exactly.
I'm sure it could be done soon, but it's fairly hard to do because you don't know what's going to happen.
Well,
like weather can't be stopped.
Yeah, exactly. Look, it's raining today.
So exactly. It's one of those things. But what you do learn is to become innovative, which comes back to creative, to find a way around those problems. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And I think that we find some fulfillment in solving a problem. So that's how I look at that. But it depends on who you are.
So a couple months ago, you did a really interesting piece with Al Jazeera about robotics.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did do that.
Yeah.
You keep up, man. That's okay. Cool. Yeah. That was interesting.
That was just before GATS, right?
Yes. Yeah, in fact, actually it was during GATS.
Yeah, exactly.
They met me and rode with me up there and then shot a little bit when I was there.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
They had better camera equipment than me. That was good. They were basically just asking how I felt about automation.
Okay.
And they were asking in the sense of like worst case scenario.
Okay. Skynet.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Which is real. It's basically one of those things. Yeah, it's one of those things where they were what are you gonna do type thing.
Right.
So I just told them how I felt. If it was going to be in that context,
right,
I didn't see how it would benefit it in that context that we're putting it in. Yeah. So they touched on all automation. It wasn't
right. It was a real broad piece.
Yeah. It was. It was automated bartenders. It was. It was all over the place. So in the sense that they were putting it in, it made it look grim.
Maybe. Yeah. You think so?
Yeah. The way they packaged it, I watched it. It made it look grim, like and I think that's what most people think.
You think so?
Like I said, it depends on when you catch me. Like we have the Star Trek thing,
right?
Where
exactly.
I don't have to get up and work, and then you have the
Skynet.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it depends on. Maybe we'll meet somewhere in the middle. There's no way to,
Yeah, well, I think that one of the big problems that we have as human beings is, I'm going to use a little trucking analogy. Is when first time I would go on a run someplace, I had a lot of anxiety about, where is it? Who do I talk to? Am I going to go in the wrong gate and get the truck stuck and embarrass myself? And, all those sorts of things.
It happens.
So you always are, worried about that change the first time, but then as things, by the 10th time you've been there or done that run, it's
second nature.
Yeah, second nature. So I think that a lot of when it comes to these changes that technology is bringing, and there's a lot of deeper ones. I think that are kind of sneaking up on us, like the 5G network.
Yeah.
Right, where. The Internet of Things, where things are going to become more and more connected, giving us, both the ability to, for instance, your son to watch you on the road.
Yeah.
There's going to have all of those great abilities, but I also think there's a lot of things we don't know where they're going to come from, right?
No. You don't like certain technologies people don't know was predicted. They think that it just was cooked up and it came. Like, back to Star Trek. Another thing about Star Trek is if you were to walk into Star Trek and look at it back in the day, they had screens when the person was laying in the hospital.
Right.
And back then, that wasn't even invented. They also, when you would see the kid, they would be reading a book that was a tablet. That wasn't invented, you know? So it's one of them things where you kind of see it, and back then you think, oh, that's some Star Trek stuff. But if you zoom and go look at your kid now, he's doing the same thing.
Exactly.
Now.
It all came true.
Art imitates life in some way, and you can't be scared of all of it.
Right.
Some of it you can be scared of, but you can't be scared of all of it. You just can't. You have to embrace it.
Yeah, well, I think that one of the interesting things, and this is why I'm really proud to be associated with Uber Freight, is because we're sponsoring these conversations to talk about these things, to bring it forward, and ask others to talk with us and be part of the conversation. And to me, that's a really it's an exceptional thing, because in a lot of ways, it gives us all a voice in the future, right? We all can, talk and stuff. And, if we have concerns, we can express them and be heard. It doesn't mean, it was like I was listening to Tiffany yesterday, and she says, she was talking about the driver council that she's part of. And she says that we take the concerns of the drivers to the management. She says, they'll listen. Doesn't mean they're always going to do those things, but the things they can, they will.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that that's a lot of what our underlying DNA and philosophy at Uber Freight is.
A lot of it's education.
Yeah.
And not education in the classical sense. It's the people that don't know are going, that don't know what's going to happen with technology, they're going to feel some type of way about it because it's new. Change is hard. So I think if the more content that's made about it, like this stuff is good,
right,
for them to get some sense of what is going to happen. Like they don't really know. And and what is going to happen in trucking, what is going to happen, period.
Yeah.
Because the way you live, if you think about it, the way my father lived, the way his dad lived, all of those are big jumps.
Yeah.
You go back to his granddad, no one owned a car. You go to my granddad.
Right, well, yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of them situations where, think about that.
I've got, my dad and I when I was in junior high school, my dad decided to restore a Model T car. And he had me out there scraping on that thing for like 5 years, all the time, anytime he wanted me to, or punish me to do something. Go out and scrape on the car and paint something, right?
Really?
Yeah, and it was a 1916, right?
Wow.
So I believe the first Model T was a 04 or something like that. So turn of the century. But look at where we are today in terms of cars. And I still have that old hand crank car, right?
Really? You still have that?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah.
That is actually probably a serious collector's item now.
Exactly, but it goes to show within 100 years. It's a 1916.
Yeah.
So it's actually 102 years old now, right?
Wow.
And so this is it's basically, it had wooden wheels on it, like a carriage, right?
Crazy.
Yeah. So look at where we are today. Imagine where we're going to be in the future.
The best analogy you could be able to use is that if you were to go back and find someone that was a caveman, he would think you were an alien.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you imagine if you put a caveman in a Corvette and drove off, he wouldn't know what to do. So it's one of those things where it's always technology is not. It's one thing you have to accept. Technology is not going to stop.
Well, no, human creativity is not going to stop.
True.
And I think that human creativity is expressed through technology, art, through medicine,
fashion,
all kinds of different things, right?
People, whatever's in their head, they're gonna create,
right?
And it's not going to stop. And the thing you can't do is cherry pick what you like.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the fact that I don't have to open the door, or I was talking to a family member, and we're pulling up to the restaurant, and I'm just having a conversation. They hit a button and then they take their hands down and the car starts moving. I freak out. I'm like, what's happening? What's going on? Well, the car parks itself.
Okay.
That's something that you're okay with it parking itself.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you must be okay with some form of computer helping it a little bit.
Well, so that's in a sense, that's a form of autonomy, an autonomous vehicle,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
Exactly. It's very creepy. It felt, because I didn't understand. I didn't know it was going to happen. That's why I said the education.
Right.
So now, every time she parks in it, I'm like, oh, you push the button now. I want to see it happen. You know what I mean? But it's one of those things where you can't cherry pick what you like and what you don't.
Well, no, I think the market, people will only buy certain things if it makes economic sense, right?
True.
And so you have to try a whole bunch of different things in the market and see, it's like throw the spaghetti at the wall and see if it sticks, right? And a lot of times it falls off, especially when I'm cooking. My wife, she normally can get it there the first time, but me, it bounces every time.
Salt and burn it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But, economics in the market will tell us a thing. So we have to experiment with a lot of different things to find out what's going to work.
And the fact that it is a global market.
Yeah.
So if someone else is doing it and it's working and it's more efficient,
right,
you're going to follow.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. That's the way it works, and that's how I look at it.
Yeah, it's not like we live in a little.
No, we don't live in a little bubble anymore.
No.
You're competing with
everybody in the world
is competing with everybody.
Yeah.
So it's one of them situations. It's not like, oh, we're competing with Cincinnati's factory. No, you're competing with everybody.
Yeah.
So you have to be. The word is efficient. Efficient is money.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So that's pretty much how it goes. So if you can find a way, Greg, to
Me?
make it to where I only had to wait 30 minutes at every stop.
I think it's up to your generation, not mine. Yeah.
Look, man, pass me by, dude. I just want to get the check. But I feel like this. If you can figure out a way that can make it no longer than an hour at any receiver or shipper I go to, there is value in that.
That's a tall order, but that's what we're working to.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
If you could do that, that would be great, because the main killer is, weight.
Yeah. There's a lot of moving parts, but to put a little time perspective on things, I remember being here a year ago when this is before we even launched the Uber Freight as an official company product, and we had a tent here, and it was like just like that little piece of, maybe the size of this stage, really. It wasn't very big at all. And look at us now, here a year later, we got a stage and all, So we've grown a lot in a year, and we've got, when you look at the roadmap for the product and that we're planning on building and stuff, it's really moving along. Really, it's amazing how the.
Well, if it's moving along, that means someone likes it.
Yeah, exactly, and
supply and demand.
And also, like I said, I'm sound like a broken record here, but everybody being a part of the conversation, it'd be really. I would like to encourage people, if they have, some comments, to put them into either all the feeds and the. Engage on the social channels that we're putting in, and so we can listen to people.
If you have an opinion on what we're talking about, comment at the bottom of this video, or share it to your social media and write something and say, how do you feel, and get the conversation started in multiple platforms at once.
Right.
And then you can kind of get a gauge of how people feel about it.
Right, exactly. So that we, everybody has a voice.
True. Yeah. You never know. You may look up one day and Uber Freight's in every truck.
Yeah.
That can happen. Like Qualcomm, who knew that would be in every truck.
Right, exactly.
It's one of those things. If it works, it works.
Right.
Simple as that.
So, one of the things you were talking about, what was your aunt's car?
Yeah.
Parking itself? I think that's one of the things that, in terms of the levels of autonomy in vehicles, the lowest level is a person just sitting driving the car. There's none, right?
Yeah.
But then you'd have cruise control.
Yeah.
Right? Then you start adding driver assist features such as parking and stuff. Does your truck have any of the driver assist features in it, like the braking and all the lane keeping or anything like that?
It don't keep the lane. That would be nice if it did, but no, it doesn't keep the lane. It will stop if something stops in front of me.
Really?
Yeah, and if let's say I'm cruise controlling, we'll say 60 miles an hour.
So is that adaptive cruise control?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
So if I'm going 60 and the person in front of me is going 40, it will match their speed.
Right, okay.
So it does do that, and it has the sensors to see everything around it.
Right.
But it won't react. It only reacts to what's in front of it.
Okay.
So if something's in front of it, it can apply 90% of the brakes and almost stop.
Right.
If for some reason I don't see that I need to stop.
Right, yeah.
So that's on a lot of trucks right now.
Yeah.
You know, and I have a 2012, so I can only imagine what's on the 2018.
Yeah. Someone was saying, I was looking at a truck review online, and they were saying it had a heads-up display and had all the, I mean, it was a top-of-the-line truck.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And, it had lane keeping. It had all these, basically, when you talk about autonomy, you have all these different levels. And I can't remember if that's level 3, I think, most of these things. Or driver assist. Then you go to, which is level 4, which would be the truck can drive itself, but with a driver.
Yeah.
And then there's level 5 autonomy, where the vehicle can drive
completely on its own.
No vehicle operator.
Well, people have mixed feelings about 4 and 5.
Yeah.
But the real thing is what's the timeline for that happening?
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe it's 10, 20 years from now. Who knows? So I mean, the average trucker doesn't know, or doesn't even know if it's going to be valuable or not. But or it's going to be something that's going to happen. But for the most part, like I said, if there's a demand for it,
yeah, well,
it'll happen.
If economics says that
exactly.
that's, and like you said, we're in a world economy, so if some other parts of the world move ahead in that way, we've got to compete and keep going.
Exactly.
So,
if they could do that and have ongoing assembly lines around the clock, there's something that you got to match.
Right.
You're going to have to match it, but at the same time, that's why I said it just needs to be a little bit of education on, what it will be done. And if that's going to be a whole new industry, it needs to be education on the new positions.
Right.
Right now. So where do I go to work on said thing or assist it, stuff like that. Right now, it just needs to be a little bit of direction.
Okay.
Once the direction gets a little bit good, I think people will understand what's going on more and be included.
Okay, I'm going to step out of my role as being an Uber freight person. I'm going to talk a moment as Greg Murphy about what I think is going to be the thing. I think that, we're looking, things aren't going to happen where we're going to have autonomous vehicles in the next 5 to 10 years. But what we'll see is a lot of projects where they're doing the research and development, and you'll see lanes developing where, a very specific lane. When the NTSB, National Highway Traffic Safety Board, the one that makes all the rules and stuff, they talk about an operational design domain. And what that is, it says where you could run where can an autonomous vehicle work, right?
So it's going to be a population thing?
Well, no, it's, for instance, a lot of times, you like in Las Vegas, they have those autonomous buses that go around, but that's only can go around in that one lane, right? It can't go driving up the street someplace else, right? And so I think that what we're going to see is a lot of development in those areas.
Well, I have me and my brother talk about it, like having he feels that it's going to be a dedicated highway around the whole country. And most likely it'll end up be that we're supporting that. So it's like, it just comes from here, goes down, and once it gets here, then all the stuff that's around it, that's probably what the trucker's going to be doing, moving around for the most part.
Yeah, so like I said, once again, this is my personal belief, is that the system, when we have these domains, we're going to see a lot of research and a lot of lanes being developed. You're going to see things that are going to work. You're going to see things that aren't going to work. And the economics of it, where people are going to try out all kinds of different things. You can look at now, there's like maybe 5 or 6 players, and they're all trying slightly different business models. And it's going to be very interesting to see how all that plays out. But I do think that when it comes to the kind of, Skynet, kind of where, a truck can drive itself anywhere, anytime, I think that's a little ways down the road.
Yeah, it's still science fiction.
I think so.
I mean, there's a lot of variables to driving a truck.
But I might be totally wrong.
There's a chance, but there's a lot of variables to driving a truck. There's weather, there's breakdowns, there's, roads change. So, if my GPS isn't keeping up with it, they have to come up with some way for the GPS of the whatever that's moving it to keep up with it. So, you know what I mean? So, there's a lot of roadblocks in that happening. So, when people come out and they say, oh, it's going to happen tomorrow. it to me, it doesn't seem like that's just going to happen.
I don't think so.
It's gonna definitely take time, and half of the people don't even stay in OTR longer than 6 months. So it's really it's really one of those situations like that. But the point is, you're never going to be able to stop the flow of, as you call it, creativity.
Right. Exactly.
You're not going to be able to stop that. It's going to keep going. So either you gotta adapt, and the best way for people to adapt is to have the information to adapt to.
Mm-hmm.
So once more of the stuff gets out of how it's going to be in the 10 years, 15, 20 years from now, I think 2025 personally, but then we'll know exactly what to do by then. That's all it is. I don't want to say ignorance. Ignorance is a loaded word. Not knowing is a scary thing.
It is. It's very, and I think that the okay, I'm going to step back into my, no longer personal thing. I think that really the, being part of this conversation is really important, is the way to do it. And, there's all these, we're here, I'm here, is to listen and get everybody's input on it.
Well, I mean, you should definitely reach out to more people and have them on here. You should set this up somewhere permanently.
Yeah.
And see what they have to say. I wouldn't suggest you do it live, but I suggest that, you do it in a setting where you can kind of control.
Well, we do have that other series that we've been doing. The
Weigh-In.
The Weigh-In. Yeah, you were part of that, right?
I did that
we've been using the opportunity here at the. We did it at GAX, and then we're doing here at the Mid-America Truck Show, taping some more interviews with people, getting, we try to find people with, knowledge in the industry and different opinions, and doing interviews with them, and then we publish it. Our main channel is through Facebook. So I would encourage people there to, subscribe to or like us there.
Yeah.
And then what we do is we also put them on YouTube. They kind of that's where they're kind of. Facebook's hard to find things. What we call it, it's like they live on YouTube where you can find them anytime.
Yeah.
Right. So that's like the libraries on Facebook.
Yeah, the new encyclopedia.
There we are.
So it's one of those things where people know where to get the information from, kinda. But I mean, like you said, engage in the conversation. It's one thing to just say, "Oh, this is this." Get in the conversation. Let's talk about it.
Right.
That's why, I'll go in there. I'll talk to you about it, because what's the harm in talking?
Right. Exactly.
And people say I talk too much, but it is what it is. I like understanding.
Yeah.
That's why I choose to communicate. Pretty much.
So, okay, what other kind of science fiction technology would you like in a truck?
Jetpacks. No.
Jetpacks. Okay, I like that one. Or how about drones that we could
send out for food and come back?
Exactly.
That would be nice. A lot of people have drones.
Have your Uber Eats drone delivered to the cab of your truck?
That would be good. I wouldn't be mad at that. Chinese food right through the door. But I mean, a lot of truckers have drones in their truck.
Yeah. Notice that's what I find really interesting walking around the lot here is how many guys have got cameras and drones and stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of people do. A lot of my friends, they have drones because they like to get shots of the scenery.
Right.
They like to,
that is one of the perks of the job.
Yeah. I mean, that is, besides money, that is one of the biggest perks. If you're a person who's born in one place and then you get this job and all of a sudden you're not in Georgia, you're in Idaho, that's a culture shock. You're like, wow, this place looks completely different than where I was. And I think that's good for people to travel. So, I think that's one of the best. I've been places in the country that I never would have went. I've never would have chose to go to blah, 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 unless I drove through here and got a chance to witness that this is a beautiful, like Oregon.
Yeah.
And no offense against Oregon, but I never would have flew to Oregon. It wouldn't have been a thing. But when I got there, I was like, wow, this place is gorgeous.
It is.
Utah as well. So that's a good thing about that. Now, if I had a drone, I definitely would have flew it around, trying to get some shots. I'm going to buy a drone, Greg.
There you go.
You talked me into it.
They got some really nice ones.
Yeah. You can fly around and get shots of everything. They go like up to 2 miles out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so imagine being in Utah and sending it,
Yep.
That So
But okay, once again, there's that technology, right? We have this thing that's got a little computer brain in it that makes it so that it can hold itself level.
Yeah.
And does all those calculations and then
Sensors.
flies, and then it's going back and forth on a radio signal
filming
to your
device. Yeah.
Right.
It's connected to GPS too.
Right. And so,
with GPS satellites.
Yeah, there's so many just incredible things coming. Yeah.
Well, people love technology. They love it.
Yeah.
I mean, if that was the case, like right now, if I look around this room, who doesn't have a cell phone?
Right.
You talk to your granddad, he hates cell phones.
Yeah.
It's one thing he despises. He doesn't want it around. Every time you come here, you're looking at the phone like you're going to hear that. But every person here has one.
Oh, I guarantee you that. Yes.
And if I took it away for a day, you wouldn't know what to do.
Oh, yeah.
So it's one of those things where people actually love technology.
Yeah.
So it's one of them things that they're going to eventually be into.
Right, exactly.
No matter how you look at it.
Well, it also opens up an incredible amount of creativity. The amount of photographs that people can take now, and you're seeing the quality of the type of photographs people take getting better and better all the time.
Yeah, this phone's quality is ridiculous.
Yeah,
I do actually 90% of my videos on this phone.
Right.
And if you think about it, the first 1,400 videos I did on YouTube were all on a phone.
Really?
So I started the whole channel just with a telephone.
Really?
That's amazing. You didn't have you need equipment or nothing. You already had it.
Right.
That is a beautiful thing.
All you needed was a good mount to hold it for you.
That's it.
Yeah.
A good mount and something to talk about, and you're off and running.
Right.
I've heard of movies being shot on the iPhone.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So it's one of those things where you don't have the excuse anymore. You can make anything happen.
Right.
All you gotta do is have the gusto to get it done.
Yeah. Do the work.
Yeah.
So we got time to wrap up. Andre, the producer back there, has given us the wrap-up signal. Okay.
Andre?
Over there.
Oh, hi, Andre. Very inconspicuous, Andre. No one knows you're there. Okay.
What's up? So we're going to wrap up. It's been a really an interesting conversation.
No problem.
Yeah, and so once again, wrapping up our conversation about technology and trucking here at the Mid-America Truck Show in Louisville, Kentucky. And thanks for being part of the conversation. And also, a shameless plug, like us on Facebook, sub us, comment. Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody.
Me already, so.
Huh?
I probably already subbed to me already.
So you, yeah. Oh, well. And?
Trucker Brown.
Okay, you can do it. Why don't you wrap it up?
All right. You asked for it, so don't say nothing about it later. We had a conversation starting the dialogue, which is never nothing wrong with that, and we're talking about technology and how it affects us in trucking and the world, basically. And this is Greg and Trucker Brown. You have a nice day. Share, like, and subscribe. Also, check out the websites and links under the video. That's how you wrap it up, Greg.
10-4.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent.
Jingle.